created to dialogue with the private sector in Kenya, development partners represented in Kenya, so that we can enhance strategies of promoting and develop trade in this country, so that we can create the employment needed in this country through trade development, poverty reduction, and wealth creation.
All right. It's not the first time we're having this. This is the second one.
Yes, please. This is the second edition.
This is the second. There was a first. Yes. So when you're to look at the first conference, the first trade week rather, what lessons or what areas of improvement can we expect with the second?
The main area of improvement is our export performance. As you may be aware, Kenyans' exports have been fluctuating. And if I may just give you the evidence is that our share of exports to the gross domestic product declined from 14% in the year 2000 to 13% in the year 2016. So what will be different in this edition of Trade Week is to discuss and find ways and means, the strategies of increasing our market share, especially in the regional markets and international markets.
Regional and international markets. The theme this year is very timely. It's powering Kenya's Big Four agenda through trade, right? Maybe we can take a moment and talk to Kenyans this morning about how trade fits into the Big Four agenda.
Yes, you know, trade sector is very key, it's very critical sector for the economic development of this country. And trade sector contributes about 40% of our gross domestic products rather.
Yeah.
And trade is an enabler of the Big Four agenda, you know, popular, not Big Four agenda, but the four thematic areas, more so to manufacturing. As you know that we also aspiring to grow our manufacturing sector to about 15%, to contribute to the economic development up to the 15%. When you manufacture, the tail end is that the goods should reach the consumer in the right time and the right place. And this is done through trading. And this is how trade is an enabler for the achievement of the targets of the Big Four agenda in Kenya. And in the trade sector, our main work or responsibility is to negotiate to negotiate market access for our products in the regional markets and in the international markets. So also, it is the responsibility of trade sector to streamline the supply chain. So when you look at the value chain from production to the consumer, it is the responsibility of trade to make sure the supply chain, value chain is streamlined in such a way that goods move smoothly from the manufacturer to the consumer.
Yeah.
Yes.
And in pursuit of that smooth movement from the manufacturer to the consumer, you did say when we were beginning the interview that you seek to pursue partnerships with the private sector to ensure that this is realized. When you look at the trade model that the country is using currently, what areas of partnership are there, or what areas do exist for partnership between the government and the private sector when it comes to trade and promotion of the four thematic areas?
As you are well aware, you know, it is the private sector who manufacture goods. So the responsibility of the government is to facilitate the private sector to produce and reach the markets. So the collaboration we are looking for, or we have with the private sector, is, first of all, to have the strategies to access the markets. And the other area of partnership is resource mobilization. Because as you know, as we promote our products in the regional market and international markets, we need to do trade missions, trade exhibitions, solo exhibitions. And these are very expensive ventures. So at times, the government may not fully fund some of these initiatives. So we need the private sector to partner with the government to ensure that we do very well arranged and comprehensive trade missions, solo exhibitions, trade exhibitions in the regional markets and international markets.
Regional and international markets. This week, of course, beginning today all the way to Friday, as Kenya marks the Kenya Trade Week, what kind of activities will be happening across the entire week? What can we expect?
Well, what we'll be expecting is, and which is very, very interesting for the development of this economic development of Kenya, is the launch of the integrated Kenya National Export Development and Promotion Strategy and the launch of Kenya National AGOA Strategy. These are very, very key to the development of this country. As I had informed you earlier, that we've been experiencing fluctuations in our export performance. So the launch of these two documents will mark the commencement of implementation of strategies which we envisage that we will increase our market share, both in the regional market and in the international market. As you know, that AGOA has been extended to the year 2025, and we have a range of about 6,000 products to access U.S. market. But in Kenya, we've been only having very few products accessing the U.S. market. But with now this strategy, we want to enhance the number of products accessing U.S. market through AGOA window.
Briefly, let's talk to Kenyans about what the AGOA strategy is all about, just briefly, and the National Export Development and Promotion Strategy. What are they all about? Just very briefly.
Yeah, Kenya National AGOA Strategy, which covers the year 2018 to 2023, aspires to grow exports to the U.S. market to 10.4% annually, and also increase the number of products we've been accessing, which have been accessing the U.S. market through AGOA. And AGOA strategy has identified challenges which been hampering our full access to the U.S. market. And this, with the identification of these challenges, also comes with implementation strategies to respond to these challenges. So one such recommendation in the strategy, which we have to start implementing immediately, is creation of awareness, because one of the challenge identified is that not many Kenyans know about the existence of the AGOA window. So we will enhance creation of awareness to Kenyans, especially to our entrepreneurs, both potential exporters and those who are already exporters. And we've also identified that funding of exports also has been a challenge. So the strategy is recommending financing strategies, especially to the micro and small and medium enterprises, which have got a challenge of accessing trade for financing. Yeah, so we are calling upon all Kenyans to access these strategies, which we will upload in our website, to read even by themselves, apart from coming to listen to us dialoguing on this, on how we are going to implement this strategy, so that they can be aware and they can exploit these opportunities to access the U.S. market.
The U.S. market.
Yes, same with the integrated Kenya National Export Development and Promotion Strategy. It is all about enhancement of our export performance in both the regional market and the international market. So we want to increase our market share. So the strategy is also focusing on 8 sectors which have been identified to drive the increase of our market share in both in the regional and the international markets. So we want Kenyans to know and to invest in these sectors. And as in the government, we will be doing our role of facilitation, making sure that Kenyans, the products are developed to the standards, right qualities for each market. Yes.
Creation of awareness is something you've mentioned, Mrs. Ogundo, this morning, and especially on AGOA, the African Growth Opportunity Act, passed by U.S. Congress in 2000, I believe. What are some of the key opportunities, key windows of benefit that come with AGOA as far as trade is concerned?
Yeah, AGOA comes with quota-free, duty-free. So, you know, it makes Kenyans' goods to be more competitive in the U.S. market when you are given quota-free, duty-free access. So this is very, very beneficial to our exporters. And we encourage them to exploit this. But when we have quota-free and duty-free, we must also make sure that we have the right standards of goods to access the market, because the U.S. market is not just going to accept a product because it falls within the AGOA window, but it must be in the right standard required, what we call market-oriented or demand-oriented products in the U.S.
To what extent does the Kenya Trade Week attract participation from the common mwananchi? What role does Wanjiku have to play during the Kenya Trade Week?
As you know, we talk about Wanjiku, and my mind goes to the micro and small entrepreneurs. And this is one of the key subsectors the ministry is focusing on, as we know that the most indigenous Kenyans are in that sector of the micro and small enterprises. So we have publicized this. Even in the counties, we have invited our micro and small entrepreneurs to come and participate, not just by listening, but we are also having a trade exhibition on the sideline. So they are coming even to participate, to showcase some of their products which they have developed, which can access regional and international markets. So this is how Wanjiku, the micro and small entrepreneur in Kenya, will be participating in Trade Week.
You've mentioned the counties, which is a very good thing, because then you say you've invited micro and small and medium scale enterprises to the conference. But then someone could ask, what is the level of partnership? What is the level of stakeholder engagement between the ministry and the counties? How is that being facilitated so far?
Yeah, we've realized that we still have a bit of a weak linkage between the national government and the county governments in trade-related matters. So we are developing, and we already have a draft of county strategy engagement, which we are even going to present today for further value addition. So with this strategy, we will dialogue with the county governments on trade-related matters. How can we engage further to develop trade? Because as you know, trade development and regulation is devolved. It's a devolved function. But Kenya is still a unitary state, and it is the responsibility of the national government to build the capacity of the county governments.
Yes.
So this is why we want to enhance collaboration between the county governments and the national government in trade-related matters, so that we make sure that the policies are harmonized. As you know, that county governments, they can enact their own laws, but we want to make sure that as they enact their laws, trade-related laws, they are in harmony with our national trade policy, so that we can create enabling environment for doing business in this country, and that is reducing the cost of doing business in the whole country.
In the whole country. You mentioned the law, legislation, as one of the ways that will cure the weak link between the national government and the devolved units as far as trade is concerned. But then generally, Mrs. Ogundo, when you look at the kind of legislation, the kind of laws that govern trade in this country, even at a national level, are they sufficient?
You know, trade is dynamic.
Yes.
And as we go along, and you know, what formulates policy, or rather what informs policy formulation, it is the challenges which we go through, it is the situations we are going through. So we may not say that at one point in a day, there is sufficient laws to govern trade because of the dynamism. But right now, we are happy that we have a national trade policy in place which should govern, or rather which governs the enactment of laws and regulations as pertaining to trade development in this country. So as at now, I can, comfortably say that we have laws and regulations which are driving trade development in this country. As much as, and this is a new thing in Kenya, we could be having teething problems, that county governments could be a little bit faster in enacting laws, and which some of them may not be in tandem with the national aspirations. And this is even why we are having these dialogues during the trade week, so that we create that collaboration to move, together in trade development, so that we can dialogue and say, no, this law, you have enacted it, but it is inhibiting trade development in this country.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly, that's very important. Now, when you think of trade, you go domestic, there's also regional and international. We've handled a bit of the domestic through the devolved units. We've handled international courtesy of the AGOA strategy. But let's look at the regional aspect of it. To what extent are you reaching out to regional blocs like EAC, like COMESA or others? To what extent do you involve them in the kind of dialogues that will be happening this week? Do they have a position, maybe?
Kenya is a member of the East African Community and also Common Market for Eastern and Southern African states. Already we have a framework of engaging with one another. So even as we engage this week, we are alive to the agreements which we've already signed in these two regional economic communities. So whatever we are going to discuss is also in tandem with the agreements, the protocols we have signed in the two regional economic communities. So in terms of participation, the participation is international, because may I inform you that we're even having the Secretary General of UNCTAD with us, and we extended invitations to our trade ministries of trade in other East African community states, but we are not sure whether they will be attending. Yeah, but they know we are having this trade week, and through our bilateral engagements when we under, for example, last month we had a bilateral engagement with Tanzania, and we informed them that this week we'll be having a trade week. So how we make sure they are also, even if they are not here with us in physically, but our discussions must take care of the protocols we have entered into in those regional economic communities.
Let's talk about innovation, entrepreneurship, and technology. When it comes to promotion of the 4 thematic areas through trade, what role do these 3 elements or aspects play? That is innovation, entrepreneurship, and technology.
Let me start with entrepreneurship.
Yes.
And as you know, entrepreneurship is scanning over the environment and identifying the existing opportunities, and you utilize the available resources to exploit those opportunities. And that is what we want when we want to achieve the aspirations of the 4 thematic areas. Having entrepreneurs who can scan the environment and come up with new ventures to grow this economy through manufacturing, the much needed or the demand-oriented products. Innovation, not just doing things the way we've always been doing. We must innovate. If we have to put into the market competitive products, we must innovate. That is value addition.
Yes.
Comes with innovation. Innovation is value addition. How do we process our fresh produce so that their life in the shop shelves are longer? They can also reach the regional and international markets in the form that is required. And value-added products fetch more in the regional and international markets more than the primary products. So, and when you want to innovate, the appropriate technology must be in the place, looking at the cost of production. Because if your cost of production is high, then your products may not be competitive in the market. So this is how the 3 tie: entrepreneurial mind, innovation, creativity, and technology for value addition, so that we have processed products in the market.
After all is said and done, come Monday next week, after the week is done this week, what are your expectations? When you look back and do an evaluation of the week that was, what does the ministry envisage to take into account?
We envisaging that Kenyans will start engaging in more market-oriented export development and promotion together with the government, that they will take up the opportunities which already exist in the regional market and the international market, placing Kenyans' products in these markets to increase market share and also earn for us the much needed foreign exchange.
Much needed foreign exchange. The president will be launching it officially tomorrow, right?
Yes.
That is part of the program. But I'd like to draw your attention to a brief I got a brief I got, and the event brings together practitioners in the trade sector, industry policymakers, industry enablers, media and facilitators, as well as experts in international trade and promotion to assemble and discuss emerging and topical issues, both in domestic and export trade sectors through various discussion forums. Let's talk about two things here. One, what are these emerging and topical issues in this century, this point in time?
The emerging issues now, as we know, we have the African Union Agenda 2063.
Yes.
And the main thing is industrial transformation. So these are the emerging issues we want to dialogue about and see if the policies which we have in Kenya, will they drive Kenyan economy towards industrial transformation to achieve the aspiration of the African Union? And we also look at the sustainable development goals. Mm-hmm. This dialogue, how do we link to the sustainable development agenda? So this is these are the emerging issues we want to dialogue. Mm-hmm. And when we look at now the inward in Kenya, we know we have also challenges about the illicit trade.
Exactly.
Which is, making Kenya government lose revenue. Is also health risk, human, because some of the illicit trade comes with goods which are not, fit for human consumption at times. So we also want to dialogue about these are now the emerging issues. They've always been with us, but now we want to talk about them in Trade Week and also hear what the public has to say so that we can now enhance our fight against combating the illicit trade in Kenya.
Actually, you mentioned illicit trade, and my mind shifts directly to talent in this country, because when you think of trade, it's not only goods and services. We think a lot along the lines of goods, but then again, services are of importance, and talent falls under services. We have issues of piracy, appreciation of talent, putting Kenyan talent on the map and helping it, grow and gather tentacles of influence around the region and beyond. Does this particular aspect of trade have a position during the Trade Week?
Yeah, because we know we have as you've rightly put it, trade in services is very important. Mm-hmm. And this involves skills. And when I think of our youth who have got talents, we need to protect. And this is where we come now, we talk about the intellectual property protection. Mm-hmm. How do we protect the skills, the intellectuals, which have come up with some innovative ideas so that they are not stolen? So we're going to dialogue about this also. Mm-hmm. And create awareness.
You said our exports have been fluctuating between the periods of 2000 and 2016. However, when it comes to the issue of balance of trade, how have we been faring as a nation when it comes to the balance of trade?
Actually, right now, our balance of trade is not good because our exports are more than, our imports are more than our export values. So we have a trade imbalance. Mm-hmm. And this is where now we want to enhance our export trade performance so that we bridge the gap in the trade balance, the trade balance.
Right. Yes. How can I participate? How can Kenyans watching us this morning participate in this Trade Week?
Participation is through attendance and coming to contribute to the much needed strategies for enhancing the development and promotion of trade in this country. Mm-hmm. This is how the public should come and participate. Mm-hmm. Attendance and contribute value addition. Yes.
Is it open to all?
It is open to all.
Via registration or just show up?
You just show up.
You just
we'll
show
be
up.
registering you as you come.
As you come. Any criteria? Maybe?
There is no criteria.
There's
It's open to all because we want to tap into the, the knowledge which Kenyans out there could be having towards trade development and promotion, which we may not have. Yes.
There you have it. You're a Kenyan interested in trade. You've got talent and you want to market it. You've got ideas on how the country can improve on its balance of trade. You've got ideas on how maybe counties can become more strong, vibrant, and vigilant when it comes to trade matters. All you need to do is to show up at the Kenyatta International Convention Center beginning today or tomorrow?
Today.
Today, the whole of this week, that
Till
conversation
Friday.
till Friday, that
3rd
conversation
August.
will be happening right here at the Kenyatta International Convention Center. Your contribution, as Mrs. Joyce Ogundo says, is much needed and will be much appreciated during the conference. So there you have it. My work is done. I mean, we've told you that this thing is there and it needs to be told, it needs to be said, it needs to be discussed. So kindly show up to the Kenyatta International Convention Center beginning today. The president will officially be launching it tomorrow.
Yes, please.
Yes, tomorrow. And remember, the theme is Powering Kenya's Big Four Agenda through Trade. This is a blueprint the Jubilee government has embraced moving forward. And maybe you also have ideas through which you can participate in these 4 thematic areas. As Mrs. Ogundo says, just show up. Usiseme registration locked me up or anything like that. But before I let you go, because I can see we've discussed a lot, industry enablers, facilitators, the international angle to this, the common mwananchi angle to it, the regional angle to it, let's look at the media. A reportage on trade matters. What can we do more to help this cause?
Yes, the media is very, very key in trade development and promotion. What you'll do more is to carry the positive information so that people can know that Kenya is committed to trade development and promotion in order to increase our market share, both in the domestic market, regional market, and the international market. So carrying the information so that Kenyans can be aware, can read, and this is putting it in the right language which Kenyans can read and understand. The media will have done a lot of good in trade development and promotion in this country. Yeah.
Trade development and promotion in this country. Thank you for coming, Mrs. Joyce Ogundo, the Secretary Trade in the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Cooperatives. We wish you all the best as you embark on this very busy week for you. And we can only hope that at the end of the day, you're able to achieve what you purpose to achieve this week. And thank you for watching that very interactive segment this morning. It's all about the Kenya Trade Week commencing today, officially launched by the President tomorrow. The theme is promoting Kenya's Big Four agenda through trade. And of course, the conversation does not end there. We've got launch of policy documents, the AGOA strategy being one of them, and creation of awareness on the opportunities you and I can tap into in as far as trade is concerned. Fluctuating exports since 2000, a balance of trade that comes with an imbalance of sorts because our imports are more than our exports. That is the reason why we are having this conversation this day and this entire week, so that as a nation we know what do we need to address, what areas do we need to look into, and what is the way forward. My name is Samuel Njoroge. Thank you so much for watching the show this far. Your company much appreciated right here on the only way to start your day. It's not yet the end. We're simply switching to people like us, ordinary people doing extraordinary things. And of course, later on, Safina Cheng will be coming up with the family item of the day. It's all about church and hype. Has the church taken it a little too far? That is the question she will be asking this morning. Of course, discussing it with a panel. You need to join her for that discussion. The hashtag remains to be Good Morning Kenya on Twitter, and 22162 is the SMS line. Begin with the initials GMK. And do you have someone in your locality, an ordinary person you believe is doing extraordinary things? All you need to do is to hit us up on our SMS platform. That is 22162. Tell us who this person is, what they do, or better yet, why you believe what they do is extraordinary, and we shall be reaching out to you so that those people are able to be appreciated on our segment, People Like Us. We are taking a break, but this is the only way to start your day. Good morning.